Welcome to Mick and the Fat Man talking music, life, and everything from the 60s through to the noughties. Well, welcome everybody to Mick and the Fat Man talking life, music, and everything, episode number 23. We are coming to you live from Broken Hill in New South Wales, Australia, just about 30 kilometres from the border. That's right, folks. We left beautiful Coober Pedy and have snuck across the border to New South Wales via that little town called Cockburn. I believe they call it Coburn, but Mick and I...
As you would.
Mick and I like Cockburn, to be honest. Look, we've parked the Hyundai and pitched the tent up at Block 10 Lookout, which gives you a beautiful perspective of the slag heap. And if you've been to Broken Hill, you'll know how beautiful the slag heap really does offer just a point of focus for all those visiting the town. Mick said, look, mate, I'm a bit parched. So pub crawl's in order. And there's about 20 pubs in Broken Hill, and it's down from about the 70 that used to be here, and we're going to have a beer in every one of those 20. So we kicked off at the Rising Sun. We wandered down from Block 10 Lookout, went to the Rising Sun. That's kind of just opposite Woolworths there. And we headed up to the Black Lion, and, gee, that's a beautiful hotel. I can't think there's anything in there. But anyway, it was lovely. Then we moved on to the Silver Spade Hotel, and that's really quite nice. We popped around the corner to the Legion Club. Mick wanted to pay his respects to all the servicemen. And then we've walked around down to the Palace Hotel. We've had a couple of beers there because that's kind of where the Priscilla Queen of the Desert thing is, and they also kind of host the Broken Heel Festival. So if you want to get out there for the Trans Festival, that's fantastic, the Broken Heel Festival. Then as we left the Palace, Mick's eyes got dragged across the road off to the left there just a little bit at the Barrier Social Democratic Club, or the Demo as the locals call it. And we're sitting in there at the moment at the bistro. Mick, you are sitting in front of the Mick's Grill tasting platter, and I have never seen anything like it. You've got a beautiful piece of Scotch fillet there, a lovely pork sausage, a chicken steak, an Outback rissole. I love it, bloody Outback rissole. There's a lamb loin chop. There's some barbecue pork ribs. There's grilled bacon. There's a fried egg. There's curly fries. There's onion rings, rustic homemade sauce, and you've backed it up with a massive plate of cheese slaw. Now, that is an amazing culinary experience, unique to this great Outback town, and you're washing that down with a beautiful yellowtail Merlot. And finishing that, and I can see you're going to finish it off with the banana fritters. Yummy. Yummy. Nick, how are you enjoying that cheese slaw? It's got grated cheese, carrot, mayo, but controversially, there's a bit of shallot in there. How are you coping with that?
Mate, I'm loving it. It pairs beautifully with the Merlot. I think it's just a wonderful taste sensation.
I'm going to stick with a bit of a classic, the Scotch fillet, and they've got a beautiful Diane sauce that's just oozing with flavour. I can see it sitting there in the Bain Marie, and I'm thinking that's just building flavour by the minute. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna get that well done, because I like a steak that's well done, because you don't want to have too much flavour in there. You want it to be a little bit leathery. So anyway, what do you think of the decor of the Social Democratic Club, mate?
Mate, it's probably the best Social Democratic club I've ever been in.
It is beautiful, and I don't know, they've got a use of vinyl that I haven't seen before. It's just impressive the way they've been able to really highlight. They've got highlights of vinyl and that sort of that carpet, that club carpet, which is just so durable.
It is, and I think they're adhering to history, in the furnishings. I think I've seen some of these tables in a Chinese restaurant in a suburb in Sydney.
Yeah, look, they may have come from there, and look, they're certainly serviceable. We're going to be sitting here for a little while before we head off to the next pub. We may have Mick's got $50 burning a hole in his pocket that he said he's got to put through the pokey. So we'll do that, and then we're heading off to the next one. So I'm looking forward to this afternoon. It's going to be a big one. We'll be here for quite a while, mate. I can see it.
Well, I just hope the 50 doesn't go straight through.
They usually do.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe we should play a 5-cent machine then.
Play the 1 center. Mate, what have you been listening to this week?
Mate, I've had a great week. Last month, to our chagrin, was Aussie Music Month, and nobody rang us up. Nobody told us. So, since we found out on the 30th of November, it's a bit late to have a music month. But anyway, I went back into the archives and looked up one of my favourite old Aussie bands, who are, funnily enough, still going. And it's a band called the Underground Lovers.
Beautiful.
Now they're denizens of Melbourne, and the album that I've been listening to is their first album from way back when, and it's an album called Leaves Me Blind.
Okay.
A lot of Velvet Underground influence, and we've talked about influence. Doesn't mean copying, doesn't mean sounding exactly the same, but the elements on this album that are Velvet Underground, very guitar based, very solid guitars, not as nasty and grungy and gutter as the Velvet Underground, but a lot of drone, a lot of repetition, all of which is very much like the Velvet Underground. In fact, I can recall when the album was released, Rolling Stone reviewed it and called the band the in brackets Velvet, close brackets, Underground Lovers.
Oh, very
yeah. That was a cute little play on words.
Yeah, very good.
So, with that band having been inspired by elements of the Velvet Underground, they use a lot of overlapping instruments and sounds. The song I like best on the album is a song called Your Eyes, which is really nice again. There's a couple of great songs. And you recall last week, or last couple of episodes ago, we were talking about the Sex Pistols.
We were.
And we talked about the wonderful rhyming of Antichrist and Anarchist.
Yes, that's right. We did.
Yeah. Did someone say artificial? Well, the Velvet Underground do...
They're not
Velvet Underground. Well, for want of a better word, let's call them that. Now, the Underground Lovers do that as well. And on a song called Promenade, they rhyme promenade with lemonade.
I'm having a lovely promenade with my glass of lemonade.
Well, exactly. And just for those who might be interested, the Underground Lovers are playing in Sydney next year. They're being based in Melbourne. They don't tour a lot. So them playing in Sydney is a big event. Well, big being a relative term. They're playing in Oxford Street on the 26th of March. Tickets are $51 each, and I think me and the Fat Man will be heading along.
Think we will. Looks very nice. I hope they don't need the disabled taxi to get up from Melbourne, but looking good. Excellent. Well, I've been listening to the latest little edition from Neil Young called The Barn. And Neil Young and Crazy Horse. So Neil Young sounds, I don't know, like he did about 40 years ago, a little bit sort of strained vocally. But he's got Billy Talbot there on the bass. He's looking a little bit old. He's sitting on the chair. Hopefully he stays upright for the rest of the video that he's on. Ralph Molina, the drummer, he's 78. So he's banging out a few little notes.
Well, he's got to be worried then. Charlie only made it to 80.
That's right. But it doesn't matter. I'm sure Keith will be there for a while to come. And on guitar, there's Nils Lofgren, who's been around for bloody eons and eons and eons, was played with the E Street Band, with Springsteen there on bloody heaps of his albums and lots of his live tours. The other one I didn't know he played for was Ringo Starr. So... And also, out of left field, he co-wrote 3 songs on Lou Reed's The Bells. So, interesting fellow, one of the great American rock guitarists, and also has a fairly extensive personal list of music as well. So, have a look. We'll put a link. There's a couple of songs up on YouTube if you want to have a look. The boys are playing away there, oddly enough, in a barn, if you could believe that. We'll put a couple of links to the official videos of the songs that are there. But yeah, I was actually just, I don't know where, I think it must have been on Facebook or somewhere, and there was a little thing came up with Neil saying, well, we got a new album out, and this is what we look like. But anyway, it was all right. So anyway...
You're always good on accents, mate.
Oh, that's right. It's my specialty. My special Neil Young. cover. Yeah, I know. It's uncanny, isn't it, the way it sounds? You sort of think, hello, is that the Fat Man or is that Neil Young?
I had to look.
You thought, no, that's Fat Man. I thought Neil had slipped in for a minute. Anyway, so have a listen to that. Now, Mick, I'm amazed. I really am totally amazed that the Globite school bag has made it through the Northern Territory, through South Australia. It's fallen out of the truck on the way down the Stewart Highway. We picked it up. You've dusted it off. I think it fell down the mine shaft at Cuba Pedy, and I was very impressed how you scrambled down after it. It's looking a bit shit, but it does look like it still opens. What are you dragging out of it today, mate?
Well, it's a bit late, but it's a really big load this week, and it's Aussie Music Month.
Yay!
Yeah. It's so important. Nobody bothered to tell us, but it was sitting there in the bag after all, in the school bag after all.
I was down the bottom.
It was down the bottom, and somebody forgot to call us.
It's probably underneath the bloody Sex Pistols. You know how they dominate.
Oh, they do, and they were in there swearing
and music. Pissing and bloody spitting and all that sort of stuff. And
absolutely, and Australian bands, being quiet and reserved.
That's it.
They just sat in the corner and waited.
Yeah, well, looks like they're coming good now, mate.
I think so. And look, there are so many Australian bands in the first quarter of 2022. Now that COVID, Omicron allowing, has taken a bit of a break and is taking a bit of a step back and letting people tour. So I was amazed. I had a quick look at what's happening in the first quarter of next year and the number of bands that are touring.
Serious?
Yeah, I think so. It's probably going to affect all of their pensions.
I think it will.
Yeah, unless they play under different names.
Yeah, I know. Because they can only earn so much. And
that's right.
But as long as they keep their healthcare card, that's the most important thing.
That's the most important thing. And their public transport discount card.
Oh, they need that. They need their bloody... Yeah,
you do. Yeah,
you need your gold Opal card in New South Wales.
For $2 travel anywhere.
Anywhere. It's fantastic. You can get from the Sydney out to the bloody Lithgow, down to Nowra. It's $2, $2.50, whatever it is. I can see the living end hopping on the train, going all the way.
They're great. Yeah.
Going down to Nowra, get the roadie to carry everything out of the train. Beautiful.
Well, they've always travelled that way. Every show they've
done public transport. They've done public transport. Yeah.
And I think that's all power to them. I think that's a great thing.
No, they're low carbon band. They're a low carbon band. I call them green. I call them the green end.
Absolutely.
The green living end.
Yeah. Well, you have done that. You've mentioned that many times over the years.
Once or
at least
once.
Yep.
Anyway, who else is playing?
No, well, Grinspoon, Jebediah and Regurgitator are all on a bill with Frenzal Rhomb. And we've mentioned Frenzal Rhomb before. Yeah, we have. And Frenzal Rhomb's one of those.
Where they play? Where are they all going?
Oh, all around New South Wales. It's just fantastic. Yeah, just look up Ticketmaster and away you go. You'll get your tickets.
Beautiful.
But I think it's a little bit of a worry with Frenzal Rhomb still playing. Yeah, and they're going to play. Oh my God, my mum changed the locks. And it's about as relevant as Alice Cooper playing I'm 18 at 60.
But interestingly, for those people that are overseas, their flights are available back into Australia now. So you can get your tickets online, fly back in. Depending on what's going on with the virus, you'll probably have to bloody isolate for a couple of weeks somewhere. Probably down to Mick's place. You can probably come down to Mick's place and isolate here for a couple of weeks.
Well, look, I would think so. And if you've got tickets for this show, I think you just show them to the border force, and they'll say you're going to the show, no problems.
Go to Mick's.
Yep. Absolutely.
There's a private bus. Off you go to Mick's place.
Yeah, and we'll be coordinating that. So if you want to drop us a line and secure a room, happy days.
Yeah,
we can organise that for you. Dragon.
Now, is anybody still alive? Hello.
Well, funnily enough, their tour is called It Comes in Threes, which is about all that's left of them.
I don't think there's that many, is there?
Oh, I think they're optimistic. Maybe that's 3 people who've had some association with Dragon over their career. So that'll be a show.
Done.
Yeah, John Stevens,
Yeah.
James Rain.
Oh.
Now, I think James Rain is playing somewhere. I saw him interviewed and I didn't understand a word he said. But
you don't.
No.
That's normal.
But I was waiting for the printed translation.
In Neil Young speak.
That's right, yes, indeed. And John Paul Young. And we mentioned John Paul Young as a countdown countdown
Favourite.
favourite, absolutely. And talk about yesterday's hero.
Oh, yeah.
Icehouse are touring?
Squeak, that was his nickname.
Squeak, that's the one, yes, yeah. And him and Molly were the besties. Yeah,
And Icehouse as well.
Icehouse, yeah. You can't get enough Icehouse. And I wonder if Ivor Davies is still trading on the story that that when he was supporting Bowie was on the side of the stage laughing and smiling and cheering them.
Oh. Yeah. I hope so.
Yeah, well, one would hope, wouldn't they? Yeah. Baby Animals, the Whitlams, Boom Crash Opera, another Melbourne special.
Yeah, I like Boom Crash Opera.
Yep. Paul Kelly's touring again.
Wow.
Now, I'm going to make sure that I can go and see Paul Kelly because personally I rate the song To Her Door as probably the best Australian single ever.
Wow. He's got a bit of a library, a back catalogue, and I'm thinking if he played his back catalogue from start to finish, his concert would go for about 8 weeks. Wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, if he did some of the versions and the remixes and things, it might get to 8 weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
But certainly I would hope that he plays To Her Door a couple of times in that,
Yeah.
You know, so that if you wander out for a beer, you don't miss
Well,
it.
he's got to be making some gravy as well.
One would hope.
Yep. Ah, fantastic.
Yeah, so a bit of Paul Kelly you can't go wrong in the first quarter
can.
after COVID.
No, I like Paul Kelly.
Yeah. Richard Clapton.
Oh, I love the Big Dick.
Yeah.
He is. I got a story about Big Dick because he's only a little bloke, really. He's not very tall.
Exactly right.
I went and saw
He
it.
used to have big hair. His hair
He
was
had a
as
lot
big
of
as
hair.
he was.
I saw him in Penrith at a pub in Penrith years ago. Went with a few people that I think we knew them from the kids' childcare centre. Anyway, went with a few parents, and one of the guys decided to pour a litre jug of ice cold water down one of the girls' pants. And oddly enough, she wasn't happy with that. Can you imagine that?
Spoil sport.
I know. There was ice down her undies and everything that he poured down. And he couldn't understand why she wasn't happy with that. Now, it had nothing to do with with Richard Clapton, but I was kind of amused whilst being disgusted by the whole event. But I was trying not to laugh because it was very funny. Anyway, but Richard Clapton was very good.
Well, I hope she found him good once she warmed up again. And then, of course, there's one of my favourites, Jimmy Barnes is touring.
Barnesy!
Can't get enough Barnesy.
No, you cannot.
Yeah. Well, you can actually.
Yeah.
I think I've walked out of more Jimmy Barnes shows than I've been to other people's shows.
He's done a lot of shows in his time, hasn't he? He's just put a cookbook out
That's fantastic. I hope he doesn't
with the missus.
narrate the recipe.
Because over COVID, he was doing recipes. He was cooking with his missus because she's obviously a bit of a cook and he isn't. So he learned how to cook, and they used to also sing songs on there as a family. As the family used to put songs out on YouTube and stuff like that. So I think he's over COVID lockdown. His missus learnt to play guitar, so they're doing duos together.
I think that's a fantastic.
It's brilliant. Anyway.
In every opportunity you should take to get your fix of Jimmy Barnes.
Well, I'm thinking in the concert now, he's going to have like a little kitchen there. So he's going to be playing, oh, he's a working class man with a little white wine sauce and a dash of blah, blah.
And if you cook the onions like this.
And just sweat your onions down a little bit.
Yeah, exactly right. And the Angels are touring. Now, I'm really curious about who's going to sing.
Yeah, I would be too.
Yeah. I think Doc probably won't be.
From the grave.
Maybe. A bit of a spiritual type of thing.
A seance from the grave.
Yep.
Yeah, so I guess that poor old Doc has passed away, but as we say, he could well return for an encore from beyond, from the other side.
Well, he's got a certain, to quote Monty Python, he's got a certain undefinable presence.
That's right. What about MySex? Are they touring?
I don't think they are, mate. I don't think they are because they're suffering from the same problem that quite a number of the band have passed away.
They are actually around though playing. We won't talk about that for the moment.
We won't.
We'll just move on.
But they are a band that we both loved in our youth, so we might have a bit of a chat about MySex shortly, eh?
Yeah, let's do that. Really, realistically, they were at the top of their pops really in 1979, 1980. Look, I've already spoken previously about 1979 top 25 singles, and I think I've also spoken about the top 25 albums of 1979, but I will just reiterate a little bit of some of the great albums. You've got this is the top 5. Breakfast in America by Supertramp, which I know you love. Discovery by Electric Light Orchestra, which I know you love even more. Kiss with Dynasty, followed by Blondes Have More Fun by Rod Stewart, and 52nd Street by Billy Joel. So they're all part of your top of the pop sort of favourite albums. And in 1979, we're already up to the very best of Leo Sayer. He's been and gone. The best of Leo Sayer is now out there.
He had some great stuff early in the 70s, but I know what you're saying, and you're right, I think.
He lives over in North... He's an Australian citizen nowadays.
Well, good luck to him.
He lives over in North Sydney.
Yeah. So does Ben Folds.
Does he?
He doesn't live in North Sydney. He lives in Adelaide.
That's right, yeah, that's right. He does too. Yeah, I saw Leo wandering around when I used to work in North Sydney. I saw him wandering around there one day. He's shorter than Richard Clapton, actually.
Wow.
That's saying something.
It is indeed. It's hard to tell how tall someone is when they're on a film clip, isn't it?
That's right. That's exactly right. And then the further on down, you've got Breakfast of Sweetheart by Cold Chisel, which is a good album. In Through the Outdoor by Led Zeppelin, which is an album. Face to Face by the Angels. They're on the move. They're on the move. And Slow Train Coming, Bob Dylan.
Yeah, we've mentioned positively a lot of Bob Dylan on this podcast, but I don't think we can forgive him for that.
No. It's when he started to find God, wasn't it? I think there's a cross on there and everything.
Yeah. And look, God, I don't think will forgive that.
No. And then one I did mention not that long ago was Nicolette Larson. Remember, she carked it, unfortunately.
Well, Nicolette Larson, she...
I love Nicolette Larson.
She's got a lovely voice.
Beautiful,
yes. And she did a lot of work with a lot of people. And I was just reading something the other day about Nicolette Larson, who let's link Dylan with Nicolette Larson, and Nicolette Larson sang backing vocals on Desire.
Oh, did she?
By Bob Dylan.
And she did a lot of stuff on with Neil Young as well, I think, from memory.
She did, yeah.
She was on his Neil Young Unplugged album, I think, from memory.
Well, a voice is unplugged by its nature.
Indeed.
One More Cup of Coffee for the Road. You recall the song?
I do.
Yeah, that was Nicolette Larson.
I thought it was Dylan.
You'd be surprised.
She really got a voice in that sort of strange...
It was Nicolette Larson with backing vocals by Bob Dylan.
That's fantastic. And she got the sort of twang, didn't she? She's good.
Really very good.
She is a good singer, obviously. My Sex were actually active between 1979 and 1982. That was really their top of the pops. Yeah. They did have an album come out in 1985. That was a best of. And 1983, they had Where Do They Go? So, but single-wise, first single they had out was But You Don't Care, which got to number 25. Computer Games, which got to number 1. People, which was on their second album, got to number 6. So they actually had 8 singles which came out. And as I said, 11 singles, to be honest. They had 11 singles. The highest ranking single was, I said, Computer Games, followed by People, followed by But You Don't Care. So, and then, as I say, 4 albums. So, realistically, in the greater scheme of things, a relatively short-lived band, Mick.
Well, they were, yeah. Whether that's... We've talked before about how bands prepare for their first album, and the songwriter has been working on this stuff for a couple of years and has put together a really great combination of songs, and they come bursting out of the gate with a fantastic first album, and that's the case with My Sex. The first album, Graffiti Crimes, was just amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah, just an awesome album, and all the songs translated really well live, very well produced, all of those good things.
Yep.
But we saw a gradual deterioration in the quality, small at first, but by the time they got to the 4th album, Where Do They Go?, it was fairly bland, middle-of-the-road stuff. Yeah.
I still like the second album. I was listening to it today, actually. I thought, still some good stuff on there. Still some strong songs on there, a few slightly weaker ones, but I think really Graffiti Crimes really was pretty strong from start to finish, wasn't it?
It was an extraordinary album. But even going to the third album, Shanghai, had a couple of really good songs on it, but we were starting to see the pressures of touring and working and writing songs and getting airplay.
And they were a very hard-working band.
They were indeed, yeah.
To the extent that we saw them quite a bit.
We did. Look, we saw them heaps. We saw them in places like the Oceanic, at Coogee, the Sundowner at Punch Bowl.
Oh, yes. The Riverwood, the Domino.
The Riverwood Domino, yes, indeed. Mona Vale Hotel.
I don't think I went all the way to Mona Vale to see them, to be honest.
Yeah, well, they were there.
Yeah,
they actually asked about you. They said, "Where's Jeff?" That's one of those events. We don't talk about that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, but look, those sorts of places. We mentioned before when we talked about the Angels about pub rock, and pub rock is a uniquely Australian phenomenon. It was back in the late 70s through to about the mid 80s. We had lots of pubs. We had a pub in every major suburb. Pretty much, yeah, at least one in every major suburb. It was a good way to see bands. The price of the band was underwritten by alcohol sales, and boy, gee, didn't the alcohol sell.
It did, and we contributed to that. I feel like we have shares in Tooheys and Tooth's brewery, to be brutally honest with you.
I think we have, and I wonder if on a third-party sort of thing, we actually have shares in half the bands we saw.
You would think so.
You would. You'd think that would be a reasonable arrangement. But nonetheless,
we bought their albums. We saw them live.
Bought the T-shirt.
Yeah, all the rest of it.
Look, Aussie pubs provided an environment where Australian bands could develop before trying to make it in the UK, Europe, US. Not everybody made it overseas. Some made limited success and made some limited headway in parts of the world, but many and most didn't. So, but the rigour you're talking about. We saw lots of MySex and bands. There's many bands that could be described as hardworking in that environment. They could play every night. They could get to a new gig in a different part of the city, and not hard to travel. It was still a grueling type of gig. Get there, practice, set up, sound check, play your show, and then put up with drunken buffheads at the end.
Oh, yeah, great, mate. Oh, really good.
Oh, did you record that live at one of those shows? Yeah. So, but the rigour of playing those shows consistently every night gave them a great opportunity to hone their sound and their songs and rehearse like crazy. So Australian bands at that time were tight as. And look, I've recently been reading about bands playing at the Reaper Barn in Hamburg, where the Beatles went in the early '60s, and they credit that with developing their sound and their tightness, their ability to play together so well there, because they had to play 2 or 3 shows a night.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. When they become, it kind of hardens the band to be a really powerful live band, and then they can translate that into their recorded stuff later on. But it really, one thing, it brings the band together in the early stages. It hardens them as musicians, and then realistically they go on and reap the rewards after that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So tell us, where did MySex originate from?
MySex is a New Zealand band, or started as a New Zealand band.
Then they became an Australian band.
Well, because they were good, we adopted them.
Yes, that's right.
And I can remember when MySex 77, 78, they were playing in Sydney. They had a residency at a pub called the Civic, which is down the southern end of the CBD. I don't even know if the Civic's there anymore. Probably not.
Yeah, I remember that pub. Yeah. No, I don't know.
And a friend of ours saw them and came back and raved about them. You have to see them. So we went then and saw them at their first opportunity. And as you say, we saw them at lots of venues. Yeah. They were really, really
very
good.
Powerful.
Yeah. We'll talk in a moment about their reformation when they got back together in the mid-2010s. Not so great.
Look, a lot of people still love it. They love to see the songs replayed.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're biased, I think. Are we just biased?
How could anybody, having listened to our podcast, dare assume that we're biased about anything?
No, that's a good point.
Yeah, I don't think they're right. I think we're even-handed about everybody.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Good point.
The band came from New Zealand. Steve Gilpin, who was the singer, he won a talent contest A talent show.
Pot
in
of
New Zealand.
gold? Pot of gold, perhaps?
Something like that,
Beautiful.
yes, yeah. Before joining my sex. And I've read lots of comments about the band and how their career before they got together. The strangest history for a band ever. You know, they played middle of the road stuff, you know, just to earn a living, and then they got together and came out after this middle of the road stuff in wife beaters, you know, working men's singlets, and they had a very, very macho sort of attitude. Do you remember that?
I don't remember being called wife beaters, but I'll run with it.
Well, a bit more commonly, you might call them a singlet.
Yes, yes.
But that's what they were.
Okay.
Yeah. So Gilpin unfortunately died later in 92 in a car crash. Up at Byron Bay.
Yeah, he lived for about a week after that car crash in a coma, and then passed away. And they actually did hold some very large benefit concerts for the family, with all the big bands that were playing around Australia. So there was Cold Chisel, there was the Oils, all these sorts of things, and they held one in the Hordern Pavilion, and then that was so successful. They then went on and toured it around the country. So it was a really, really successful. Hopefully, the missus got a bit of money out of it.
Well, one would hope it's not a planned end to your relationship, a car crash.
No, very sad.
Yeah, an awful thing. And the band, in their history, hasn't been blessed. Kevin Stanton, who was the lead guitar and songwriter and the driver of the sound, particularly the first album, Graffiti Crimes, he then ultimately was unable to play due to a chronic back condition.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And that
So
gradually got
he's
worse.
not a part of the remake of My Six.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't able to play at all.
Oh.
Yeah, could scarcely stand. He couldn't hold his guitar. Yes, yeah. For someone who that's been your career, that's a terrible way to go. And he died, unfortunately, in 2017.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
Murray Burns was on keyboard, and he was a songwriter as the band went along. Don Martin was on bass, and you've talked about Don before, how he would play his bass almost like Pete Townsend. So he'd play some notes, pull the strings, and his hand would go right up in the air.
Yeah, no, he was very dynamic live, and really he never was still during a live concert, and realistically, it was kind of really him and Gilpin that really made the show as far as the live band was concerned. They were really dynamic. Gilpin, a huge presence on stage, and he was just a machine banging around the place. Really good to watch, and a good bass player as well. So yeah, very, very enjoyable.
Absolutely. The whole band was all very competent musicians. Now, Don Martin died in 2020 of cancer.
Yeah.
Which is, again, a terrible disease. But what he did was at the beginning of 2020, rather than wait around for everyone to say nice things about him after he was gone, he held a living wake in January 2020, which is a great idea. And I think I'll institute that, and I'll schedule it now.
I'm having one as well. So when I can, hopefully there's enough people left to actually come to the wake.
That's true. Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe, in fact, that's a good idea. Maybe we should organise a wake in the next 5 years while we're still alive.
5 weeks.
Well, we still can.
Yeah. Well, we can still walk, talk and remember.
Yep. Okay, great idea.
Yeah, it is indeed.
Tick.
Yep. And the drummer, Richard Hodgkinson.
In fact, we'll invite all of our subscribers to the Mick and the Fat Man wake.
I think we can do that.
Yep.
And if people come along to the wake, we'll record it and it'll be an episode.
There you go. Lovely.
It's done.
It might be a little bit edgy, like there could be a couple of beers under the belt like there is now.
Yeah, I think, God, you might even swear.
I wouldn't have thought
Jesus.
so. I don't fucking swear, buddy. Anyway, move on.
And Richard Hodgkinson on the drums. Look, it's obviously something about drums and sort of all the work that they do during the concert. But he was a bit like Alan Sandow from Sherbet. You looked at his shoulders and you think, bloody hell, what? Yeah.
How do you I was listening to it today and I'm thinking, how do you describe their music? How do you describe it? Yeah, obviously there's a rock band sitting there, but there's something unique about that sound that they had. Then that it's got like it's got this sound that makes you want to jump up and down, and I don't know what it is, but they have this strong 4/4 beat, and it gets a bit bouncy at times. You know, dun 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 dun. It's not such a bad thing, not such a bad. You know, so it really does get that bounciness to it at times. And there's bits where they, you know, it's all a bit, you know, it's not, but when they really get going, it is a really bopping album or albums.
True, and probably for the time, one of the things that made them stand out was the keyboards.
Indeed.
Yeah. So all of that, and the keyboards didn't just do the Rick Wakeman thing of playing, you know, type thing, which he could do as well and did when it was necessary.
Because they did have this sort of thing of being computer rock, didn't they? Yeah, there was but I mean, there was really only probably 2 songs which you would regard as computery type songs, but it was kind of new.
Yeah, talk about stereotyping.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, computer games, yeah, computer rock.
yeah.
But I can't remember what was the computer in 1979, like an Atari bloody piece of shit. So you know.
Exactly. No one knew what a computer was,
No.
anyway, except it was something to do with space. But the rhythm, the keyboards chimed into the rhythm. I think that's probably what you're looking at there.
Yeah.
So they had a very, very strong sound, and it wasn't just bands often, you know, get the rhythm guitar and get the lead and the bass and drums all together.
Yeah.
But when you put keyboards in, it just adds a really full sound and a full experience for the people who are listening, and it comes across really well on albums.
Yeah, no, they really, I don't know, they kind of had a unique sound, which I really enjoyed. So, fuck you.
Yeah. Well, I don't disagree with you, except for your gratuitous use of vulgarity. Anyway, I'd think this was a rock and roll program. Computer games. You mentioned computer games.
Yeah.
And there's an anecdote about Peter Dawkins, who was the house producer at CBS at the time, and he produced their albums early on in the piece, and they trotted out computer games. And he had a big argument with Kevin Stanton. He says, "Why the bloody hell didn't you give me this song as your first single?" You know, he said it would have just ripped the charts apart. And Kevin Stanton says, "Well, I've only just written it." So that gives the lie to the thought that they came out with a bunch of good songs and went downhill from there. They were producing good stuff as they went through, but that didn't stay on.
Yeah. It's a bit sad, really. But anyway,
Space Race on the second album. I can remember Countdown used to prominently and regularly feature the single "People." Look at all the people in the houses. Yeah. Anyway, but it had this ludicrous spoken word bit in the middle.
Yeah.
And what will happen to the family when a child no longer owes its existence to 2
biological parents?
And everyone just, give me a break.
Yeah. But it's true.
Well, nobody wants to hear it in a pop song.
No, true. But I'm just sort of thinking back in 1979, it wasn't probably about, well, that album would have been out 1980 probably. It wasn't really the popular. It was kind of...
Nah.
Genetic engineering was still fairly early and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't belong in a pop song or a rock song or any song, really. Yeah. But they're thinkers. They're thinkers, that band.
They're very deep thinkers. Yep. Yeah. And as they went on, Shanghai, great cover, fantastic cover of the Shanghai, a Chinese geisha woman almost in an underground dungeon. I don't know what that's got to do with the music, but it was a great shot. It looked really good. Had some strong points. The song Shanghai was really good.
Yep.
But the calibre of songs overall wasn't as great.
No.
And the fourth album, Where Do They Go?
Yeah.
Well, they blamed the record company for not promoting it. But I really think that the record company was a bit stuck. It wasn't as good. And I've gone back and listened to it again to think, to see if we were wrong, who was wrong. But it's not the strongest of their by a long shot. In fact, if that had been their first album, we wouldn't be here talking about them.
No. Look, I'm just going to see if we can have a quick play of this. That's what we're talking about. That's that boppy sort of beat, and then the keyboard that you were talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, great song. That's Not Such a Bad Boy. That song there, and I think it really epitomises some of the sound of the band, doesn't it?
I think you're right. And even though the quality of their albums deteriorated over time, they were still a live force. They were still pulling big crowds because of sound like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does that work in a 1,000 head venue? It just fills it up.
That's right. And of course I've mentioned this before as well, which is around the in the live show with they used to do the Ultravox song, "The Man Who Dies Every Day," where they used to hang the bass player.
He was pretty tall too, so that was quite an achievement.
Remember, he used to bend over backwards, and Steve Gilpin put the noose over his neck. It was really quite good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, something unusual. It's not something you see every day unless you're watching Alice Cooper.
It's not something you see every day. A man who dies every day, and he did. He died every night.
Well, pretty much since they were playing daily.
That's right.
Some of the crowd responses were great, and it seems to start right from the beginning as the band debuts the songs. The crowd has actions, and we've talked about some of the responses to the Angels songs over the years, and one in particular, Stills. Stills was about photography and stills and just catching things in that moment, and every hand in the audience would be up in the air, and 5 fingers come out on each hand, and just like a starburst.
And the lights used to change the light show for that song as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
That was really, really pushing into the audience, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It would go stills, and the big white lights would come into the audience.
And it highlighted the hands, so the lights are on the hands, and there you go. So the audience becomes part of the show, and it was really, really good. They did that quite regularly, and when the audience is dancing and bopping to that type of sound that you just played. It's really a great experience, and nobody ever left a My Sex show not sweating and not having had a great night.
That's right. Now let's just briefly talk about the new version of My Sex that came out. They did release another album as well just recently. Yeah. I haven't listened to it, have you?
Some of it. I'm afraid I was a little bit disappointed.
Why didn't we like seeing the band now compared to back in those days?
Look, when we did go and see it, we saw them at the Bridge at Roselle, and they had the same songs, they had the same repertoire and many of the same members of the band, but it was a bit like a tribute band. There wasn't the chemistry of Stanton, Martin, and Gilpin.
No,
playing together.
They weren't there for a start.
Well, obviously, yeah, and so they were lacking that. And the fellow from Noiseworks, Steve Balby, he bloody worked hard. You got to give him some credit for that. He worked like crazy. He was running around on that stage for an hour and a half non-stop.
And I've heard him talk about that he actually has a true love for the song. So he's not sort of bullshitting. He's actually he has a true love for the songs. He loves the band. And he was really belting out as well as he could. Yeah. And because he's a good singer. I mean, he's a good singer. Yeah. But there was something that it's the familiarity, I think, is also, you get this thing where you have a familiarity with the band or the music, and when someone does it slightly differently, you don't like it. And I don't know, we're biased, I guess.
We are. A lot of bands have tried to replace the singer in particular, and it's never worked. Never worked to the level of success that they could have expected or hoped for.
I'll give you one exception. AC/DC.
Very true. Very true.
That's the only one I can think of.
Yeah. Queen, Adam Lambert, apparently is quite a good professional singer, but he's not Freddie Mercury.
But you know what they do? Have you seen them? I haven't seen them. We haven't seen them live since Adam Lambert. But I've watched a YouTube of them doing it live, and he does songs, But then they actually play video of Freddie singing in the concert. So everybody goes, yay, because Freddie's now singing. And I'm thinking, as a singer, you'd feel a little bit deflated because you think, oh no, he's the proper guy.
Yeah.
I don't think it's quite fair. Also, as a paying person to go and see a video of the band that you could watch on telly.
Yeah. Look, they're absolute consummate professional musicians, and they're all really, really good. Roger Taylor's a fantastic drummer and singer on the songs that he does.
That's right.
And Brian May, he's got to be in anybody's list of the top 25 guitarists of the rock era.
That's right.
But it really comes across, from what I've seen, as a really, really good tribute band.
Yeah, and I think that's what. Yeah, I didn't mind it, but yeah, you're right. I enjoyed seeing the songs again on live, but it didn't quite hit us the way. And maybe we had high expectations. Oh, look, we're going to see My Sex Again, one of the faves of our youth, and we were a little bit disappointed. And as you say, not for the lack of professionalism and the lack of trying, and the sound was good and all that sort of stuff, but yeah, we were a bit disappointed. But yeah.
To back that up, I was speaking to someone who went to one of the shows, who was telling me how great they were. They were just absolutely fantastic. Did you ever see them when they were younger? When you were younger? No, they'd broken up by the time I was able to go and see bands. So they didn't have the burden of that expectation. And so what they saw was the crowd reaction with stills and the lights and everything, because they still had the light show, and they still had the songs, which were fantastic, and they had many of the same players. So they're all great musicians and everything, but I think part of our response to that and our disappointment with it was that burden of expectation. We knew what it was.
And actually, I think Balby actually brought another level of theatrics to the concert as well. Yeah, I quite enjoyed some of his theatrics that he was. He was because he's quite a consummate performer, so he added some good theatrics to the concert. But it's just us. It's us.
Yeah. Well, I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
I can't argue with that. But yeah,
is what it is.
It is what it is.
Oh, you're just a cranky old bastard who just wants what he had before. Yeah. Anyway.
Another band that was around at the time, and we won't spend a lot of time talking about them, but they were really great when they were a pub rock band before they became worldwide stadium band. INXS.
They were a good band, weren't they?
They were fantastic, fantastic live.
But do you remember the criticism of Hutchins about copying the Beatles? Yeah, they were copying the Beatles.
Copying Jim Morrison.
Oh, and Jim Morrison. Yeah. But also, so anyway, he wasn't original. I think that was the thing. He was copying everybody else. But I don't know. What do you do to be original?
Yeah, I don't recall a lot of that criticism, and I think that's just tall poppyism, really. I think you'd have to go a long way to find anything Beatles-ish in INXS's music. I can see in their attitude and the way Hutchins presented himself, you can see a lot of the Doors and Jim Morrison, but they were just another great rock and roll song. A lot of their stuff was different.
I'm glad he didn't do any fucking poetry.
Oh, well, didn't hang around long enough, did he?
Well, he was around for a while, wasn't he?
Well, he wasn't long enough. I mean, it was well into his declining career before Morrison started doing an American prayer and reading out of his high school poetry book.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So, they're another band who've gone through a range of singers since Hutchins' passing,
and with less success, I would suggest to you, than Queen.
Oh, absolutely.
J.D. Fortune.
Yeah. Well, that one didn't work out very well. I mean, they did it on TV and everything, and people said they were all right. And apparently, if you listen to J.D. Fortune, he says he was left at the airport with no note or anything at all, and only found out later from the lawyers that he was fired.
Oh. Yeah. Have you heard the story about Tim Farriss at the moment? He's in court.
No, what?
Well, he hired a boat and got his hand jammed in the propeller or some bloody thing and mashed up his hand. So he can't play guitar anymore.
That makes it hard, doesn't it?
So there will be no Tim Farriss tribute band with him in it anyway. And, so he was suing the boat company for not, telling him how to lift the engine out of the water properly. I don't think it was the actual propeller. I think he jammed his hand in the anchor or somebody. Anyway, he can't play guitar anymore. So, there was a big story just recently about him suing the boat company for his inability to play guitar again now. He was very upset.
Well, isn't that a funny twist on life? You know?
I know. But you sort of think, well, you hired the fucking boat, mate, Don't hire a boat if you're a guitar player. That's what I say.
Well, absolutely. If you need your hands, don't put them where they shouldn't be.
That's right. Keep them locked away in boxes.
Yep.
Walk around boxes on the end of your arms.
Well, you mentioned Farris Brothers. And INXS actually played. They had a regular gig at the Avalon RSL, and we know people who used to go and see them all the time there on the northern beaches. With Hutchinson, before they changed their name to INXS, a bit easier to say, a bit successy sounding, INXS than Farris Brothers. But there you go. A name can make all the difference.
Give you another piece of exciting information here. Back in the day, I used to clean carpets, and I cleaned, I think it was Kurt Pengelly's house.
Wow.
He lived in Bondi somewhere.
I hope he didn't touch his saxophones.
I don't remember seeing the saxophones, to be honest. But anyway, I cleaned his carpet, cleaned the house.
Wow. Brush with fame.
I know. He wasn't there.
A brush with fame's house.
Gee, I've come a long way, haven't I?
Oh, fantastic. Well, Hutchins, I think Hutchins was all of the band. They're really, really good musicians. But and when you saw them live, the way that they played, they were tight, very, 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 very able to change, turn on a dime, as the Americans say. But Hutchins was the persona at the front of the band, and he used to hold court no matter what the show was. And we saw him once at Punch Bowl, where he stops the show and he's having a chat with the audience. He says, "Yeah, we're a liberal band. We like drugs."
Gee, they got big though. They became a very big band.
It's a long way from Avalon to a penthouse in Hong Kong, isn't it?
Oh my God, they were a big band, and they played. They were doing the stadiums and all that sort of stuff. So very successful, a very, very, very big band. But anyway, no longer. Methinks no singers, no guitarists now.
It becomes a little difficult to be a band.
That's right. They won't be on your pub circuit for next year for everybody to go and see, mate.
Oh, a notable omission.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, look. That's right. Did we see them were they at Wanda Beach as well? Were they?
They were indeed. Yeah, before they were the biggest band in the world.
That's right, because the band that played last was Midnight Oil at that kind. The Oils played. They finished up
with Peter Garrett and his speedos and a surfboard.
If you hunt around, you can find the bits of that concert. You can't find all of it on YouTube, and you can get the bit with Garrett walking out with the sluggos on, the surfboard, and the flare going. He's got a flare. He's walking. Just sings the whole concert in a pair of sluggos.
It's very theatrical in his own way.
Oh, yeah. That was a great concert, though, wasn't it?
Talk about the cream of Australian music at the time.
I think even Sherbet played there, didn't they?
I couldn't swear to it, but I have some recollection.
I think they did.
Yeah.
I can't remember all the bands that were there, but it was a great concert.
It was a very big one.
Yeah.
From the rain.
Oh, that's right. There was rain, and a mate of ours who we took with us, he vomited out the back of the car, out the back of my Ford panel van.
That's always a good look.
And it was a red wine vomit.
Nothing says rock and roll
like a red wine vomit.
That's right. Yes. Yeah, very charming indeed.
Anyway, all right, look, mate. Anything else you want to finish off with there? Because I think we might call it quits for today.
We might. Look, I've just noticed something that we haven't mentioned, and again, it was a star turn for Hutchins. There was a movie back in the early 80s, I guess, called Dogs in Space. It's worth it, but it's by a fellow by the name of Richard Lowenstein, who was well known at the time, and he left making movies, obviously no money in it, and went to making commercials, and that's how I came across Richard later on. For where I was working, we commissioned him to make a couple of ads.
Oh, okay.
And he was really very good. But Dogs in Space was one of those movies where didn't have that much of a plot. And it was very much start and finish, people talking, parties.
Was it sci-fi or was it not?
No. It was about a share house in Melbourne.
Oh, right.
And the Dogs in Space was it started off with when the Russians, a broadcaster, when the Russians sent the dog Laika up into space. So that was the name. Yeah.
So it really should have been called Dog in Space.
Or Hutchins in Space.
Was he in space?
He was out of space. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now he played. It's arguable whether he was acting at all. He played a would-be rock star who dressed in leather jeans and used to sit in the corner and beckon girls with his finger, which apparently was real life.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he did.
Yeah. And his love interest in the program OD'd after he got her onto heroin.
That's all fiction then, isn't it?
It's a total make-up. Yep.
His kids aren't doing that well, I don't think, at the moment. I think they've gone a little bit astray as well.
Yeah,
because Bob was looking after them after everybody died. Bob Geldof, that is.
Yeah, poor old Saint Bob. He got left definitely holding the baby in every sense.
That's right. I don't know, where is Bob Geldof nowadays?
I don't know.
We should find out.
Surely there's people to save and things to do.
Well, hopefully we're coming up to Christmas soon, so we might be able to get Bob on the line and talk about Christmas stuff.
And if we can't, we can at least talk about him.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
All right, folks, that's it for us. I hope you've enjoyed the podcast. Make sure you can share it with a friend. Let people know that we exist. Consider leaving us a review on wherever you're listening to us from. 5 stars is nice. Help us grow the audience a little bit. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Subscribe. Please subscribe. It makes our life much happier. Hit us up in the email if you want to send us any emails. Mick often makes the odd mistake, so we do like to see when people pick him up because he talks some shit sometimes. And we'll put some of those links that we said in the show notes. We've got a few there which we can put in particular the Neil Young Barn album official video, so have a listen to that. And, mate, we'll see everybody next time. Bye now.